So what do we have here? It is turn 4, and we have a 3-4 with Taunt and Divine Shield, a 6-7, a 3-4, a 1-1, and a 3-10 with Taunt and Wind Fury. Must be Mech hand buff Paladin. It looks like we are looking at a Arena Warlock matchup, and our opponent is trying to find some sort of Plague of Flames clear. Unfortunately, our opponent is going to have to go with a little RNG, and it looks like our opponent has unfortunately not cleared the Wind Fury minion. We top deck the War Gear for a little bit of extra damage, and GG. So what deck are we playing? Well, we are playing Darkseeker's Mech hand buff Paladin. He's been playing this deck at Legend. He reached rank 222. Considering there are about 1,000 EU Legend players on the current Wild ladder, that's quite an accomplishment. And he's got a very interesting tech in his deck, the Weaponized Pinata. Now, Weaponized Pinata is a mech, and so it works with all the synergies of this deck. You can magnetize, you can reduce the cost, and you can get a random legendary. There are some really good random legendaries in the wild mode. Sneed's Old Shredder, Foe Reaper, Ragnaros the Firelord. The options are endless, and this list is just very, very good. For those of you who are not familiar with the mulligan, what you want to make sure you keep is your Crystologies, your Smuggler's Run, your Galvanizer, your Grime Street Outfitter, your Mech Warper, and if you're up against one of those pesky little control decks, you might want to keep a Flying Machine as well. If you want to follow Darkseeker for some of his amazing wild content, you'll find a link to his YouTube channel below, as well as his Twitter. But let's look at some games played by my cousin sluzzle699. So we are watching sluzzle699 at double speed, playing Mech hand buff Paladin. He is queued into Epsilon, the rank 14 Warlock. Excellent emote game here. And he kept the Weaponized Pinata in the mulligan. He plays his Galvanizer, reducing the cost of his mech in hand, allowing him to play a Weaponized Pinata on turn 3. Now his opponent has played one of those pesky bad luck Albatross, and sluzzle699 does not care. He just takes his cards and aims them at his opponent's face. It looks like he's played one of sluzzle699's most hated cards, the Void Caller, that lets his Warlock opponent cheat out a 9-drop, which is incredibly unfair, but something that the Wild community has got used to. Now, sluzzle699 has a bit of a weak board, however, he has the Weaponized Pinata buffed to a 6-5. Now the treat is, what delicious candy or legendaries are inside this Pinata? Only time will tell. The Pinata will have to die at some point. sluzzle699's opponent cubes that pesky little Void Lord to get some walkers. Unfortunately, this is not looking very good for our friend sluzzle699, as the Mech hand buff Paladin does not run silence, has no real removal, typically just plays things and aims at the face. Defile does not... Oh, it clears, and Sluzzle now has a Khadgar. There's also a Baron... Well, never mind. Let's see if Sluzzle can try another game. Oh no, Sluzzle has queued into another Warlock, Ben from work, probably playing his even Paladin, which is a good deck for Sluzzle to queue into because even Warlock does not run Plague of Flames, as Plague of Flames has a mana cost that is not divisible by 2. That is an excellent opening hand by Sluzzle, but it seems that he has fallen asleep because his opponent is taking too long to choose his mulligan. It looks like his opponent is pointing at cards now and has mulliganed. Hopefully sluzzle699 will wake up for turn 1. Sluzzle has woken up for turn 1 and goes ahead and plays a Christology. Now, if you are a good Mech Handbuff Paladin player, you will always have your Christology on turn 1. He opts to buff his hand with the Grime Street Outfitter, and this is actually a pretty insane opener for a Sluzzle. It looks like he's not doing much, but his hand is pretty out of control. It looks like it is time for Mech Craziness. That's a 6-7 on turn 3, which is quite powerful. Now, Sluzzle's opponent hasn't actually played a single card yet, and his opponent Ben from work is actually not an even Warlock. It looks like he might be some sort of cube, having a horrible opener, but then we see a Doomsayer indicating that this might be a Reno Warlock. sluzzle699 opts to trade that Doomsayer and aim a bunch of things in the face while playing a buffed up Flying Machine. Now we wait and see what the Warlock can do. Interesting play, little applause from Sluzzle. Not quite sure what to think about that play. Ooh. Plague of Flames does not kill the Wind Fury, and Sluzzle top decks War Gear for lethal. Well played, Sluzzle. Well played, sir. Game number 3 of Sluzzle Adventure with Mech Handbuff Paladin queues into a rank 2 Shaman. This Shaman has Chinese characters on his name. I unfortunately cannot read many Chinese characters. In fact, I cannot read any of those. I can only read the easy ones like Yi and and San, those sort of ones. Again, sluzzle699 has fallen asleep. Opponent's taking too long for turn 1, probably thinking that sluzzle699 is streaming, and that they open up his stream to see if he is live. As a typical good Mech Handbuff Paladin player, he has not 1, but 2 Christologies in hand, which is quite powerful. He has also got 2 of the hand buff mechanic cards. Unfortunately, when we look at his minions, they're not very good. He does not have the Mech Warper, he does not have the Galvanizer. But sluzzle699 continues on his game plan and just buffs his hand. Now, there is a single card that will auto-lose sluzzle699 on the spot, and that is Devolve. Devolve is the bane of Mech Paladin. One of the reasons why we actually are not seeing much Mech Paladin in the meta at the higher ranks. Opponent gets pretty lucky with that Crackle 5 on that 3-5, and sluzzle699 does not seem particularly happy. I would not be particularly happy either. Sluzzle's opting to make a giant flying machine, and it seems like Sluzzle just doesn't want to play around Devolve. Rocking out to some more beats while he watches his opponent actually not kill the flying machine. His opponent opted to go face instead of dealing with that 4-7. And what I found with my experience with Mech Handbuff Paladin is that when your opponent leaves one of your mechs up, you typically win the video game. Sluzzle now has a 8-13, or now an 8-12 with Wind Fury, but again, a single Devolve will render sluzzle699's game plan useless. The Shaman plays the Stormbringer. Interesting board, there is no taunt. None of those are particularly good. The Lyra could be a little bit devastating, but Sluzzle opts to go in for 28 damage to the face. Now, again, does Sluzzle's opponent have a devolve? It doesn't look like it, or he would have played it by now. So it looks like Sluzzle might be able to get another nap while his opponent decides to rope. Sluzzle opts to emote a well played, encouraging his opponent to concede. But it looks like Sluzzle's opponent is a salty little dog and is going to rope because he lost. Sluzzle thanks his opponent for wasting his time, and then Sluzzle opts to go for maximum bad manners. And his opponent concedes, proving that his opponent was actually sitting in front of his PC or phone or tablet or Mac the entire time while that was happening. Let's look at our fourth and final game. It's a little thumbs down from sluzzle699. Sluzzle699 is not a big fan of Mage unless he is playing the Mage, and he is playing No Friends Mage. So little friendly greetings to start the game. Sluzzle699 does not have any hand buff mechanics, but he does have a Mech Warper. He chooses to just slam it down and hope for the best. Nice little top deck there with the Bronze Gatekeeper. This is not a card I personally am a huge fan of in my Mech hand buff Paladin, but a lot of players are having success with it. Sluzzle has to decide what he's going to buff, and it looks like he's going all in on that Mech Warper. The big punish here is a Polymorph, which it looks like his opponent doesn't have. Sluzzle699 now has a 6/9 Divine Shield Taunt Lifesteal Mech Warper on the board, and opts to go for the interesting double Jeeves play to get some extra cards, opting to keep the Snip Snap in hand to sneak in some sort of lethal. Those are my thoughts. Sluzzle699's opponent still cannot deal with that Mech Warper, and it looks like he's trying to see if Sluzzle699 is a dum-dum and doesn't know how to play around Flame Ward. As Sluzzle699's cousin, I can tell you that although he is a dum-dum, he is not a super dum-dum. And so clearly he is going to buff this Mech Warper, make some sort of board that plays around Flame Ward. Looks like he's really committing into that Mech Warper, really hoping that his opponent will not top deck a Polymorph. And Sluzzle's having a little drink there, may as well finish off that rope since he started it in the first place. Now this is the Reno Jackson turn, which his opponent does not have. His opponent is opting to play probably an Ice Block and try and complete their quest in desperation. Sluzzle699 top decks a War Gear. He now has 2 in hand. He's just going to buff his hand at this point. I don't think it really matters what he does. He's just probably going to win. Ice Block is popped. Now Sluzzle699, weaponized Pinata. Sluzzle699 has 22 damage on board. If his opponent plays a Reno, it would not be enough. However, we see the Vargar. Now, if his opponent did play the Reno, he had that double War Gear for lethal, but it looks like Sluzzle699 has spotted lethal. Little Pinata BM. GG Sluzzle. GG. If you'd like to support this channel, you can click that lovely subscribe button below, click that notification bell, and until next time, I hope to see you again.